two things are on the horizon. Number one is Europe.
Yeah.
You have, I think, said you're not going to be rescuing any banks over there with any kind of significant investment. You've also said if this thing goes bad, you're in great fear of what the consequences are. What did you mean?
Well, it's big. and you know, they have tried an experiment which where the imperfections in it are becoming manifest, and the numbers are big. The banks are the solvency of the banks are intertwined with the solvency of sovereigns, and vice versa. And they have found that while they melded into a single currency for 17 countries, they didn't meld the culture, they didn't meld fiscal policies, all kinds of things. Yeah. So they either have to come closer together in a major way, or they have to separate and
give up on the euro. And give up on the Eurozone.
Yeah, and they don't want to do that, and that's understandable, and there's all kinds of
But there's also this argument, all they're doing is kicking the can down the road.
Well,
they really need to, a lot more on the line, and they really need to sort of do more at one time to make sure that they have stopped.
It's a short road, Charlie. You can see the end of that road. They better not give it a good kick, or it won't be on the road anymore.
It's over the cliff, is it?
Yeah.
So what happens to us if it happens? If the worst happens, what happens to the United States? And what happens to the global economy?
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, when you get 17 of them, nobody knows what they're going to do. And politics enter into all kinds of things. But if you ask me, the most likely thing that in the end they will decide to print money, which they've got a lot of problems doing because they do have this common currency. But when politicians face almost insuperable problems, and it looks like they can solve it by printing money, I think they will do it. I think they will to the extent they need to. They will help the banks. But I don't know what I don't want to. That's not a prediction. That's my best guess.
Yeah, but the hour is late.
It's late. It's very late, and it's very late. Yeah, their banks were encouraged to load up with sovereign debt because there were no capital requirements against them, and it gave them the chance to leverage further and increase the earnings per share a little bit, so they just loaded up with them, and they thought that they were all good credits because they all belonged to this union, and they're finding out that isn't true.
What did you see a year or so ago when you got out of European sovereign debt?
I saw where the can was going. No, I really did.
But I mean, did you see it and other people didn't see it?
Well, no, I think people
saw it, but didn't.
It's a little like our own situation back in 2006 and 2007. Everybody sort of saw it, but you kind of thought, well...
Well, I don't know that they all saw it, but I don't think they understood it. I mean, I think part of the problem was that these people didn't understand it. Well, you mean the subprime crisis? Well, you think I'm wrong about that? They saw it?
I think people had kind of an uneasy feeling, a lot of people, but they thought, they were like Cinderella at the ball. I mean,
that was the analogy they used, you remember? The Citibank executive said, as long as the music's playing, you have to keep dancing.
Right.
That was the classic.
That's right, and he probably thought it was all going to turn to pumpkins and mice at midnight, but he didn't think it was midnight, and he thought he'd get out ahead of time. He's not the only one.
There was a lot of that. And
listen, I made a lot of mistakes in that respect. I mean, and I saw certain things taking place, but I didn't take strong enough action in many cases. I'm as guilty as anybody. But in terms of Europe, I think it was clear well over a year ago that we were heading for a cliff. I mean, you just can't have people tied to a given currency who have lost the ability to print money behaving recklessly. It's going to come home to roost very quickly. And when those bonds of those countries are held in huge extent, it's a bad situation. So on the other hand, it won't end the world, Charlie. Europe isn't going to go away. Europe will be stronger 10 years from now for sure than it is now. I don't know how much agony it's going to go through in between. It'll be a great market for goods. That'll be great.
But is the answer austerity?
I don't know.
That's the question.
I mean, it's always great to say the other guy should get austere. I mean, that's the problem they have. It isn't a common austerity. It's your austerity will take care of my bonds.
The Germans have a point.